we had a short where I was talking about being human babies, and I'm actually quite intrigued, as always, to share. So, the reason why the inner engineering program and anything that is spiritual or spirituality related with yoga and mindfulness and meditation, the aspects of putting your brain in pause and using your body, it all works with your actual embodied brain. And so when you study enough, and I'm still studying more about the way that a infant is affected in their first 18 months of life, well, you find out that, yeah, there is not any demon or devil in the body of people. And it's so sad that there's actually so many human beings out there that continue to erroneously judge their own species, might I add, which is also a indication, the reflection, mirroring. So when people do have a first 3 years of life where they're not securely attached and their heart doesn't stay whole, so they have a heartbreak, because at 3 is when you get to begin getting into trouble. So you get to start getting yelled at. Now, Stephen Porges, polyvagal theory doctor, presented in one of my courses with him, and he's still building his empirical data. I can't wait for it to hopefully continue to, because they have a way it has to work before it can be proven or disproven. And as long as there's little holes, people like filling in those holes with stories of where we come from, and aliens is one of them, and stars are others. And I love having clairs. I mean, this is awesome, but I know of it as the consciousness sphere. Neuroscientists talk about it, biologists. There's a lot of different subject matter experts that talk about the sphere of consciousness. So it's not just the stories from esotericism and mysticism and what would explain and still explains a lot that science hasn't all the answers. Not that it has to. That's the whole point. We don't always have all the answers to anything. And the number one trait of a human being is having secondary consciousness. So we evolved to contemplate. In fact, as Patrick McNamara, a lovely neuroscientist, has pointed out, not only in a series of studies on how the individuals, and I don't know what his sample is or whatnot, but where he looked at people who had all those nightmares and other types of demonic seeing, things like that. So he studied the shamanism, culture, deities, something along those lines. There's a video on Well or Big Think. I can share that with you all, but we've discussed it many, many times. And his book, The Religious Consciousness Self, which I'm going to start reading at some point, he explains, as a man who is studying the brain, so everybody loves to talk. I'm pseudoscience lady for a reason, because I bring information that I'm learning, and then I can fuck it up, but I'm going to admit it and not say I know everything, and so that a human is going to be for sure, lo and behold, possessed. No, I got an explanation by a man who studies brains, and he shows what happens to the brain. Now, like the flat earthers who are trying to prove something, to me, people who want to go down and bark up the tree of the same, the story, it's like, yeah, okay, the ancients are ancients for a reason. Now, if you want to bring forth the ancients as truth, go for it. I'm going to use my physical human being brain. And as I learn more about being a human baby, I'm like, okay, this is making a lot of sense. When people learn about being a human being, they will learn about compassion, because you will be heartbroken on understanding how little things are so important for that attachment system of an infant. And I've heard stories of parents doing things because my child needs to learn how to sleep on their own. And, oh no, this isn't true. The attachment system, it's not true. I mean, there's people who literally don't want to accept that there's more to a person as they're born. Why are you having children if you can't understand how to tend to them? And that's not all. There's the other group that's so overly worried, and they get to be put at ease with these lovely attachment researchers, anyone who's informing. That's why the trauma-informed community is informing, because it's about all human beings. So you can do yoga, you can do meditation, you can do all the spiritual and spirituality. What I see from the community as they insult our own species, see, the science people that insult our own species, that's a whole other group, and they're not educators. In the book of a person who knows what an educator is. An educator is somebody who empowers you with information, not tells you. If they're dictating to you, you got a dictator pretty much, and if you want one, then you want a silverback to tell you how to be. No, you don't have answers to certain questions. You're projecting is what it is. If you need a silverback, you're projecting your own insecurities, and you found a leader who stands up for what you want them to stand up. It's called I Chose What I Believe In. Here's my little breadcrumbs of trails, because I can do. My breadcrumb, in fact, leads infinite higher human consciousness potential. Isn't it easy to see? Infinite love, unconditional love. In fact, this is all I've stood for always, because I have a 3-year-old heart that didn't get into the shame of being different and awkward or sensitive, whatever it was. I'm going to have to interview my mother one of these days. But whatever it was, I didn't be like, oh no, now I can't be Maria. So I have no shame in speaking, even if it's La La Land lady. I literally have no equation. And it's not because I don't care. I love people. I care a lot. I just don't care that if you and I disagree, that I need to feel bad about it. Yeah, in fact, actually, this is funny. My social system doesn't synchronize with my peer group. As a teenager, I'm like, wow, these guys and gals, they're inconsistent. None of them keep their word. I was shown this as I grew up. Adults don't keep their word. And they don't know about their unresolved trauma or about them projecting their insecure attachment upon people who are confident. I learned that as a teenager. I just thought I was dealing with teenagers. Now I'm an adult. Thanks to trauma-informed experts, I know, nope, I deal with people who project. Pretty much most people will project. Usually I just give the 2-year-old the floor. That way I don't have to be bothered with trying to get into what I think is a lovely conversation, but the child has to prove they're right. So when you don't know that there's subject matters and you're like married to them, like if your breadcrumb of trails is the truth, there's not one truth. It's called subjective reality. People don't like the word, and yet every single person has subjective reality because we all have the same neurons in our brain. Thank you, Julianne. And there's 2 of the present and there's 2 from the past. And guess what the first 3 years of your life is? It's all implicit memory. It all comes up, your past. That's why you don't have to wake up in the morning and learn how to walk again. So when people say the body has memory, they don't really know what the body is. And if you did, then you'd know your 18-month-old is with you. So here's why a person such as myself has never felt the need to be an asshole to somebody. Because in here, I'm like, there's something up. And it isn't because, thank you though, said Guru, the nasty people, we know how to handle them with love. It's because you're a person like me. So if you're being mean to me and if you're doing something's up, it has nothing to do with me though, because I know what I'm doing. And if I'm bringing to you a conversation and you're taking your ego and getting all upset about it, that means you have a different opinion. It's very straightforward. I mean, I did do political science. I thought I'd be negotiating. Then I realized that people don't know how to negotiate. And that was really interesting, actually. That was through my master's course. And I was like, wow, we all said we wanted to bring peace to the world, and yet we're here debating. And one of these exercises we almost failed the exercise. And I said, okay, so if this is people who said we wanted to bring the world together, I can only imagine why we still have shit going up over there. They are all doing the same thing. And the ridiculous part was the way that they were negotiating. And I'm thinking, I thought we wanted to save lives. Like, what are you doing? Oh, let's blame the conspiracy part about it. It's all about economy. You're all people. You're all using your own brains. You're all making conscious choices of what you're prioritizing. And here's where the limited consciousness people, they think we have to sacrifice. And there's no need to sacrifice. If you have a genius brain who can think outside the box. Now, if you have a limited brain, that's a different story. You're not trying hard enough. If you ask a person who uses a brain, I can try to get creative if I want versus stay in the ancients and use the same modality of negotiation or thought processes. Where is the creation? Oh, I'm sorry, stereotypes and generalizations. Let's use those. Those are actually found in studies to lead people to stay stuck in their unresolved trauma. Lo and behold, the limitations of human beings created by their own brain. Yes, lo and behold, the mind that thinks, not the brain. The brain you can work with. The mind you can work with too. Actually, you can work with everything if you know that you're a human baby, first of all, and learn about it, or just try to work with your thoughts and emotions and move into your nature, which is love. We'll talk more about that one in a little bit. In the meantime, I have to go.